What is up, guys? Welcome back to Saturday Morning Live. It's our first Saturday Morning Live show in a while. We got Jesse with us. Jesse, how are we doing, man?
Doing good. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, happy holidays. Hopefully we have a fun day of football today, tomorrow, and Monday night. What we're going to do in this show quick is I'm going to just read the player news. We got some news bombs that we have to kind of cover real quick, and then we can circle back and get into questions, and we'll pick Jesse's brain, get some rankings, and then maybe we'll look at the weather. That seems to be pretty important to look at today. And then, I don't know, maybe we look at some DraftKings prop bets and stuff like that. But anyways, the major news bomb this morning was Chuba Hubbard to be placed on IR. So a lot of people, if you had Chuba Hubbard, that was one of the best picks you could make all season. And now he's done for the year. We're going to probably see a duo of Raheem Blackshear and Mike Boone. Could you tell someone to start one of these guys for this weekend?
If you had Chuba in your lineup and you're in a bind, go see if J.K. Dobbins, someone drops him. Go see if he's out there. Go see if Kendrick Miller's out there. I like both those guys over Rasheem Blackshear.
So I believe Blackshear is a really good pass catching back. He's probably going to be the guy that catches 3 or 4 passes. Mike Boone, we kind of know what Mike Boone is. He's the guy that just has been on a bunch of teams, has been their number 3 running back, practice squad kind of guy. He's a good player. He just never gets the opportunities. So I'm probably staying away. Tampa Bay, we looked at the weather for that game too. It's going to be sloppy. They're calling for likely rain showers. There's some rain in there. Tampa Bay just needs to they don't need to do much against Carolina. They just need to really contain Bryce Young and not really care about these running backs. So probably not going to recommend those running backs. Good running back news. James Conner is expected to play today. We're still waiting on Trey Benson, though. He's been listed as doubtful. If I'm looking at the practice reports, Trey Benson has gotten limited practice in all week, but we'll see. If Benson can't go, I like a sneaky Michael Carter who caught 5 passes last week. So if you need somebody and you're in a real pinch, look at Michael Carter.
You're going Blackshear over Carter, though, right?
You take probably just because of the starter touches. Yeah, just because of the starter touches. Good news for T. Higgins. He's expected to play today. That's probably the game. I do like Arizona, the Rams, but I think Cincinnati, Denver's got that playoff vibe today. So T. Higgins, we'll see who Pat Surtain decides to cover more today. But T. Higgins in our lineups. Malik Neighbors also in our lineups, expected to play week 17. We got Isaac Guerendo limited in practice today. I think he's been limited all week. I mean, if you have Guerendo, are you hesitant to put him in your lineup, or are we trying to just lock him in there at RB2 if he goes?
Yeah, it's a Monday night game. So if you have someone comparable, I'd probably lean that way. Like if you have a Kendrick Miller, if you have that type of player, maybe a J.K. Dobbins, you're going with those more like borderline RB2 flex plays, probably over Guerendo just to be safe. I mean, Detroit's still a pretty good team. Their defense is banged up. Patrick Taylor's looked good enough to probably take some reps away anyway, so you're not getting like that full-on 90% Guerendo touch. I don't know. It's a tough one. Limited all week.
And I would make sure you don't lock him in as your RB2. Like if in your roster settings, if you can move him to flex and start 2 other running backs and kind of see how – we're going to get one more day of practice news today from Guerendo. They should say if he's in or out. But there's a lot of games that are already gone. The waiver wire pool is pretty much dead. Like if you want to move Guerendo to your flex and say, hey, oh God, I got to pull up Tim Patrick. I got to pull up Ricky Pearsall just in case that you got to make sure you have your hedges there. Good news for Tyreek and Tua Tagovailoa. They're listed as questionable. They've been kind of practicing all week here. They're not in any jeopardy here. The Dolphins are still a long shot to make the playoffs, but they need a big game this weekend. Jalen Waddle also listed as questionable, limited the last 2 days of practice. Not quite sure how I feel about starting Dolphins this weekend. We looked at that game, and isn't that game going to be kind of ugly too? At Cleveland, definite rain showers. I'm seeing high wind. Probably not the best game. Devon Achane and Jerome Ford are probably the only 2 guys that I'm like, yeah, I'll play those 2 guys for sure. But are you benching Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is who else are who's on your bench that you're looking at that's like, yeah, I'll play him over Tyreek Hill. I think the hard part is the upside there. It's a tough game, though, in Cleveland. Myles Garrett's going to be getting after Tua. It's nice. It's going to be over 50 degrees, so we're not looking at like a cold, wintry December game at least. So that's gives me a little bit more confidence in Tua. But yeah, I mean, what kind of receiver are you looking to start over Tyreek Hill? Like
Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I mean, Jacoby's probably a solid play over him, but then like
Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, Darnell Mooney. Feel good about that. That's another Sunday night football game. That game looks terrible for the weather. Rookie quarterback. You're probably sticking with Tyreek. There'd have to be a real interesting name out there.
All right. If you have Tyreek Hill questions, let us know. Probably should play him, but he has not been great the last few weekends. We did get some inactive news for this Chargers Patriots game that's going to kick off in about an hour and a half. J.K. Dobbins is in. Will Dissly is active too. So if you need a tight end, I don't love it. I mean, there's some other tight ends that I'd rather play off the waiver wire, I think. But Dobbins is active. Dissly is active. And then just a couple other guys that aren't as important for fantasy are listed here. Anthony Richardson, listed as questionable for week 17. He has not practiced all week. We were talking beforehand that I think Joe Flacco is probably in line to start this game. Alec Pierce also not on the injury report here. So the Colts receiver group is going to be pretty healthy coming into this one. So Flacco is not really a QB1 option for championship teams, but for QB2 Superflex leagues, are you dipping your toes into the Flacco machine this weekend?
Yeah, I've got the dilemma now. It's third place game, Mac Jones or Joe Flacco. I'm probably leaning Joe Flacco just because I know he's not afraid to sling it. Colts are somehow vying for a potential playoff spot, so it's a big game. I think this is a little bit of a plus.
Cool. Did I lose your audio? Hello? I might have lost your audio. I don't know if I can hear you. Is it me? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, you can hear me. I can't hear you. Let me see what we got here. Dang it. Well, we like Flacco in a QB2 Superflex setting. The Colts are still the number 8 seed. Hello? I can hear you now. Yep, we got you.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but we got you. Colts are 7 and 8. They're the 8th seed. The Chargers and the Broncos, if they both win today, the AFC playoffs are set. Not the seedings yet, but the teams that are in the playoffs are going to be set. So Colts might not give a shit tomorrow. They might just let Flacco throw the ball 50 times against the Giants in the rain. Who knows? We'll see. But I do like the Colts offense smart against the Giants. We have Devontae Adams questionable for week 17. Not quite sure what's going on with him yet. Terry McLaurin's not on the injury report. Good news there. Not that it matters, but Chris Olave and MVS are listed as questionable. Is there any chance that you're playing a Saints receiver?
I just can't. I can't do it.
Not Olave's
Raiders defense. Raiders streaming defense, probably a good one. Olave's first game back. I mean, Rattler, you just can't touch with a 10-foot pole right now.
Yeah, I'm as far as Saints go, I think you can maybe play Kendre Miller as your RB2 flex. Even that doesn't have a lot of hope. But trying to stay away from teams like the Saints is, I think, a priority for me this weekend. Jalen Hurts is listed as out. Are we touching Kenny Pickett at all? What does this do for your A.J. Brown, your Devonta Smiths? You're starting Saquon, and I think you're starting A.J. Brown, but does Devonta Smith become more of a question mark?
Yeah, when we saw Kenny Pickett last week, he pretty much had eyes for A.J. Brown and A.J. Brown alone. So unless Devonta kind of gets one of those breakaway 40-yarders, it's going to be it's a tough environment. Washington's a good team. The weather's going to be messed up there. They're probably just going to hand the ball to Saquon 25 times.
Probably. Last weekend was weird. Kenny Pickett, he only targeted like 3 dudes the whole day. Devonta Smith had 8 targets, A.J. Brown 15, Saquon Barkley 1, Kenneth Gainwell 1. So only 4 players were targeted in that game. So maybe it's not terrible to play Devonta Smith. I think he's an okay play this weekend. Not sure what to do with the Titans backs. We do have a question here from Daniel with Tajay Spears in it. Tony Pollard and Tyler Boyd I'm seeing listed as questionable. Tony Pollard just hasn't practiced all week. Again, it feels like this is not – he's done this a lot all season where he just hasn't practiced. They've really used him up, and they're just trying to keep him healthy, I think. They have him under contract for a couple of years. So Tyjae Spears, man, we're ranking him ahead of Tony Pollard this weekend. Daniel's asking Marvin Harrison, Spears, Miller, Vidal, Madison, half PPR. We were kind of chatting about this question before the show, and we're going to rule out Kamani Vidal. We like Vidal, but with J.K. Dobbins officially active, probably just going to cross him off our list, even though he could get a garbage time something. Who knows what happens in that game today. Madison, are we Tanner Madison against the Saints? I mean, that could be a game where the Raiders actually have a good offensive day and they get him his touches.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, we're looking at maybe teens in there. He could finish in somewhere 16 to 18 points. It's not a bad play. He's not probably getting a ton of catches, so I'd say the PPR floor may be a little bit lower there. Obviously, we talked about Spears. I think, why play Tony Pollard? They have him under contract. No reason to. He's already a lighter back. He's been dinged up. I'm expecting Pollard to be out, and then Spears is kind of the easy choice, right? The guy we haven't talked about is Marvin Harrison and what he's going to do today against the Rams, as you talked about earlier. He's had the best game of the season against this team, this Rams secondary that's been prone to mistakes. So maybe he goes on, he has another 2-touchdown game. I think he's kind of the ceiling play, perhaps. Like, he might be able to go out and get you 20-plus points. But I would definitely the hard part is you're not going to get that Tony Pollard news before this Cardinals game. Maybe we do.
Maybe, yeah.
It's tough. So it boils down to Spears and Marvin Harrison for me, and you're hoping you get some Tony Pollard news. Like, if he's out, doesn't practice today, I think you're just waiting and riding on Spears. You could pivot to Madison. That's probably what I'm doing.
If Daniel's still here watching with us, I would say this. If you want to just lock in your 8 to 10 points, I think that's Marvin for you. If you're, a heavy 20, point favorite, you can kind of take that floor with Marvin Harrison Jr. and hope for a touchdown. The Cardinals are also, I think they're eliminated, correct, from the NFC. Yeah, they are eliminated from the NFC. So they got nothing to lose today. Like, they just might let Kyler, and James Conner's dinged up. They might just let Kyler pummel Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. I mean, they're going to try and get Trey McBride a touchdown today. That's got to be one of the priorities for them. They're trying to have fun today. So I kind of like Marvin Harrison Jr. from that angle. But Tyjae Spears gets you that kind of that same floor as well, 8 to 10 points. Even if Tony Pollard plays, they're giving Tyjae goal line touches. They're giving him catches. Mason Rudolph kind of elevates the passing game of that offense. Not really a great game environment, though. Tennessee, who do they get again?
It's the Jags. So it's it's a divisional game, so you kind of think they want to win, right? It's like battle of the bastards here, like divisional game. They probably want to show some fight, but these are, the Jags are terrible defense.
It's kind of a stink off, though, because both these teams are right there playing for the number 2 draft pick this year.
It's interesting, and that's why I just don't think Tony Pollard. I still don't think Tony Pollard's going to play. So I feel like Tyjae Spears. You wait for him.
All right, we will wait for Tyjae Spears. That's what we will say. And good morning to Scott. Hope you're doing well. Happy Saturday to everybody here. And Jesse's in there as well, wishing Scott a happy weekend. Any other player news that I missed that we might need to cover? We said Malik Neighbors is in. Tyrone Tracy not on the injury report. I'm seeing Christian Watson listed as questionable. I don't think he practiced all week, though. That is correct. DNP all week. So that kind of pushes me towards, Jaden Reed, maybe towards Romeo Doubs. I kind of like those guys as wide receiver 3s. Dontavian Wicks, probably not a guy we want to trust this weekend, but if you're in the desperate situation, he's worth looking into. Njoku's been ruled out. Not sure we want, if you're starting a Brown, it's Jerome Ford. I don't really know if we're not even playing Jerry Jeudy this weekend, are we?
Yeah, what's your hope? You're sticking with Tyreek Hill over Jeudy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier when my audio cut out, Colts receivers this week I like with Flacco and particularly Downs and Pittman. Maybe it'll convince me in playing a Downs Pittman over a Tyreek Hill in that situation. Weather looks relatively good for New York that game. Flacco, obviously, like you said, might be able to chuck, open to chucking the ball, not afraid to throw the ball.
Yeah.
So it's kind of Pittman. You're looking maybe like he gets a 5 or 6 for 60, 70, and then if he gets a touchdown, which I think is a safer floor than what you're going to get from Tyreek. at the very least.
I did move Josh Downs up in my rankings to like wide receiver 25-ish. So he's like a fringe wide receiver 2 for me. And then Pittman's firmly like wide receiver 3 territory. He's my wide receiver 30. So we like both of those guys.
What do you have Tyreek at? Is he like back in our wide receiver 2?
He's sitting at wide receiver 16 right now. And my projections have Jalen Waddle not playing right now. He's kind of lower in my rankings. So that's kind of why.
Okay, makes sense.
Like, are you playing Tyreek Hill over Neighbors? You're playing Neighbors, so we'll move Tyreek down.
Yep.
Are you playing Garrett Wilson over Tyreek?
Buffalo, divisional game, Rodgers.
And we should note that game looks terrible.
That game looks as bad as Miami Cleveland, if not worse.
They're calling for likely rain, high winds. That game could be kind of an ugly, start your James Cook, start your Breece Hall's running backs kind of game. So I'm kind of torn on where to put Tyreek Hill. I think I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave Tyreek
Wilson as appropriate range. That's
the line. Yeah. And then other guys that I have behind Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp. Kupp versus Tyreek Hill. That's a real thinker.
Last 2 weeks.
Am I moving Jordan Addison ahead of all these guys that we just mentioned? Am I moving Addison ahead of Kupp, Wilson, Tyreek Hill?
I like all Minnesota players against this banged up Packers defense. They got no Quay Walker, we got no Jair. So I represent, but it could be ugly tomorrow for Green Bay.
All right, I'm going to leave it where I have it for now, but this is where a lot of people are thinking about here. We did get Mark with a question here. He's asking Connor, Shakir, Thielen, McMillan, which 2 should I start in a full PPR format? Are we locking in James Conner here as the 1? He's not 100%, which makes me a little bit nervous. But
yeah, I think the ceiling is just so high that if he is active, Trey Benson is banged up, that he's just going to be the guy. Oddly, next out of that line is Thielen for me. I feel like Thielen is just being fed targets. And this is a Bucs game, right? If they're playing the Bucs, this game could get ugly quick, and Thielen could end up with just like 10 to 15 targets. So I don't hate that play either.
I think it's as simple as Connor and Thielen for me. We mentioned the heavy rain potential for the Buffalo Bills. They also spread it out to 8 dudes. So Shakir's floor is kind of unknown. I do like him quite a bit, but I think you take the layup here with Thielen. And then I do like McMillan as well. We still don't really trust him quite yet. He's been on a nice little heater the last 3 games here, but I think Thielen is your best bet in terms of double-digit targets. And then Connor, I mean, back in week 2, the Cardinals kicked their ass, 41-10. Connor had over 120 yards rushing, had a touchdown. Marvin Harrison went nuclear. The Cardinals might have a little bit of something for the Rams tonight. So I think I'm going Connor and Thielen. I'm pretty confident. I don't really want to mess around with the other guys. So Mr. Magic asking what to do with Dobbins or Spears. If you had to pick one of these 2 guys, Jesse, are you going to lean into Dobbins today with a nice matchup against the New England Patriots? No Gus Edwards. I don't know how involved Kamani Vidal is going to be, but I would imagine that Dobbins is going to get, 12 to 15 touches today. Good chance at a touchdown.
Yeah, I think touchdown odds are really good. I think the only thing I'd say on Spears is if you need a ceiling play, he might be the ceiling play over Dobbins. Just, based on going against the Jags defense, you could break off 1 or 2 big runs, rush for 1, catch for 1. Dobbins, I guess the downside there is if they do play Kamani, if they sprinkle him in more than we expect with him, being his first week back. But Dobbins is definitely the safest play, championship week. Sometimes safety is nice to have, and I think Dobbins is the safer play.
I'm going with Tajay. Spears. Dobbins is plus 100 to score, so I do like that. There's also potential where, the Chargers are like, win this game today. We're in the playoffs. Let's get J.K. Dobbins his feet underneath him. Let's get him ready for I don't think there's a chance where he's going to get 20 touches today. If you do wait for Spears and we get that news that Tony Pollard's out, all of a sudden Tajay Spears against the Jags, that could be 15 to 20 touches tomorrow. So I think the safe play, you were correct. That is Dobbins. I want to take my 7 to 12 points with Dobbins. But I think I'm willing to be a little bit more risky and shoot for that potential 20-point game from Tyjae Spears. The only way Dobbins gets there is if he scores 2 touchdowns, probably, which could easily happen in this one. But the Chargers don't really score. If you put the over/under at their touchdowns today, it's probably 1.5, maybe 2. So I'm gonna shoot for the home run with Tyjae Spears here. But Dobbins is for sure the safe call. Yeah. Yes. And Daniel's also leaning Spears there. So he's you're welcome, my man. Thank you for hanging out with us. And thank you, Mark, as well. Helping you guys out is what we like to do. And yeah, Jacksonville has been a defense that we've wanted to target all year long. In terms of running back points allowed per game, they're allowing the second most, 27.5. So even if you split that in half with Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears, which we know it's not going to be completely in half, there's room for 13, 14 points out of Tyjae Spears in this game. So, damn, Tyjae Spears, man, to win the championship. 2 months ago when Tyjae Spears was out, I think with a concussion and a couple other things, if you told me he's going to be the hot name week 17, I would have said no way.
Yeah, you never know. This week is definitely messy. It's a messy championship week.
Yeah, and we got the Ridley revenge game tomorrow. I was just looking at I had the DraftKings touchdown odds pulled up for that game. Tyjae Spears is plus 120 to score. Brian Thomas Jr. is probably scoring at plus 145. Calvin Ridley plus 195 tomorrow against his old team.
Mason Rudolph
could work. Did we have any other major things that we need to talk about today? We talked about the weather. There's going to be rain. At least it's not snow. There's going to be heavy rain throughout the days tonight, or I guess for today, there's going to be rain in New England. There's going to be rain in Cincinnati. The Rams are in a dome tonight, but New York's getting hit with rain. The Giants host the Colts. The Buffalo Bills hosting the Jets. That looks like the worst weather format. And then Tampa Bay's got rain. A lot of rain in Florida for this one. Tampa Bay, Carolina's got rain. Jacksonville, Tennessee's got rain. Kind of like the running backs in these games. And then Philadelphia, Dallas has rain. Cleveland, Miami has rain. Washington, Atlanta, rain.
It's just rain everywhere. It's kind of hard to avoid it. So it's one of those things where you can't just pick 1 or 2 games to fade.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to just trust your studs in those games. And if you're kind of on fringe guys, that's where you can kind of, look at the games a little bit more detailed, see what that weather's going to be like, lean into the running backs in the wind-heavy, wet games.
And speaking of start your studs, Jonnu Smith. What are our thoughts on Jonnu Smith? He's locked in, man. He's locked in. He's tight end 5 on the year. He's probably the best. He's probably the best pass catcher right now on that team.
Yeah. He's the security blanket for Tua. It's him and A-Chain really racking up targets.
And then I really like the Dolphins defense in this one. We mentioned the weather. It's in Cleveland, but Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a very unproven pass catcher, probably good for 1 turnover, if not 2, whether it's interception and fumble. And then you're going to get some sacks out of this too. The Dolphins have a lot to play for. They really, again, today, if the Chargers win and the Broncos win, the AFC playoffs, those 7 teams are locked in. But the Colts and the Dolphins and the Bengals are all hoping that one of these teams loses and they can still play for something this weekend. So I think the Dolphins are a top 5 defense for my rankings this week. I have them as my defense number 3 at Cleveland here. I want the Dolphins on my team.
Yep, fire them up.
And C-Dog is saying Chargers or Bucks defense with the new news that Chuba Hubbard's out. That does take a lot of steam off the Carolina Panthers offense. Carolina played them pretty good, though, a few weeks back, if I remember. I think that game went to overtime.
Yeah, that was one of their. That was like kind of Bryce's first game back of like being like, all right, maybe he does have something in the tank here.
It did go to overtime, 26-23. Bryce Young, 298 passing yards in that game. He was only sacked once. Chuba Hubbard did lose a fumble, so not a great start for Tampa Bay. This one was in Carolina, though. This new game is going to be in Tampa Bay. So if you're ranking Tampa Bay, I think they're more of like a fringe top 10 defense. I'm probably going to stick with the Chargers against the New England Patriots. Do you have any pause with playing the Chargers today, Jesse?
No, I think that, those guys, they're really tight. You can't this is the thing with defenses. At the end of the day, it's a little bit more fluky, a little bit more unpredictable. Turnovers matter. But opponent-wise, Chargers are probably your better play. They're looking to lock this one down, low-scoring affair. Bucks Carolina feels more like me, the game that could get out of hand, and we could get a little more back and forth. So that probably makes me lean Chargers. But I think in projection-wise, they're probably neck and neck.
And we're probably going to give up a touchdown or two to Drake May, and that's okay. But I mean, Drake May's thrown an interception in almost every game this year. He's got fumble potential. The sack potential also looks pretty good. The last few games here, Drake May's been sacked 3 times. That's a ton of sacks in the last 5 weeks. He's thrown an interception in 7 straight games. So you're locking in a turnover. You're locking in, 3 sacks. Things can happen. And the Chargers just have a way that, just the way they're coached and things like that. Defensive touchdowns, special teams touchdowns. I think I'm going to play the Chargers today and hope for, keep the Patriots under 10. You get your sacks, get your turnovers, and you're locked into probably a top 10 defense.
Yep.
We're getting that Kupp or Guerendo question in here. My opponent has Brock Purdy. That's tough again because they play Monday Night Football. Kupp playing tonight. Kupp has not been. He's not been playing well. And I don't think he played well against them in week 2 when they got blown out here. I'm probably waiting for Guerendo here. We don't really have quite that news, but they do play tonight. So if we're going to get another update on Guerendo today based on practice reports. If they say Guerendo is expected to play, I think I'll wait for Guerendo. What do you think here?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Listen to your heart on this. Kupp has just not been good. You're hoping for magic in a bottle one more time if you're playing Kupp, hoping you can find that PPR floor that he's had for a long time in his career. Guerendo is certainly going into that if he's playing and healthy. Detroit just banged up defensively, so teams have been able to run on them the last little bit with a little more success. Man, that's a tough one. I'm probably waiting for Guerendo. I'm hoping you get some Guerendo news today.
Well, we will. So today's Friday for them. So they have to have their final practice report. The other side of the coin with Kupp, though, this is a business game for them. They're trying to lock up, right? They're trying to win the NFC West tonight, I believe, is what they can do. Because Seattle, the Rams would have to lose the next 2 games, but I believe that's how it works. Let me double check real quick here. Yeah, the Rams are 9-6. The Seahawks are 9-7. If the Rams win tonight, they clinch the division.
Because they had the tiebreaker over Seattle right now.
They beat them twice. So
and it's a home game, and it's the Dome. It's a safe weather game. I think I'm going Kupp.
I think I flipped the Kupp, and we were talking before. I don't know if we were talking on air before the show, but we were like, this schedule this week is complete ass. Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday games. I think if you've already locked in your points, like you're feeling pretty good. If you locked in that Pat Mahomes 20-point game, you locked in Lamar, you kind of want to lock points in. We mentioned the rain. It's going to be rainy as shit tomorrow and today. Kupp's in the Dome. Rams are playing. Like if they win today, they win the NFC West. 49ers are done. Just vibes based, I'm going Kupp. And Mr. Holt Cone, Colts over Chargers and Dolphins defense. I mean, those are 3 of my top 5 defenses this weekend. You're the Colts guy. Are we trusting this Colts defense? They're a suspect defense at best, but they're playing one of the worst offenses in football.
Yeah, I mean, I locked up in the playoffs every defense I could get against the Giants consecutively across my leagues, and I am playing the Colts against the Giants. I'm hoping for 10-plus points. I'm not looking back.
So my rankings have the Colts as my number 2 defense. I have the Dolphins as my number 3 defense and the Chargers as my number 4. I do like the Colts defense tomorrow. I think the safest play is the Dolphins, though. The Dolphins against Dorian Thompson-Robinson in a slop fest. If you want to play it safe, you go Dolphins. If you think you can flip a touch, like Drew Lock's he's gonna break some eggs and do some things. So Colts with the highest ceiling, but I do like the Dolphins as a safe defense. And then Colts D over Philly. Philly versus Dallas tomorrow with no CDs.
No CD. No
Eagles
CD.
Eagles are my number 1 ranked defense, so I gotta go Philly here.
Yeah, It's a tough weather game too. The winds are going to be moderate to high with some strong gusts. I'm taking the Philly defense.
Yeah. Mark says Josh Allen or Goff with the weather potential issue here. I don't want to sit Josh Allen.
If we recommend sitting Josh, that's I mean, yeah.
I get it. Goff's been lights out for a little bit here, but I don't know if I can recommend sitting Josh Allen. I think that's.
It's a when you look at all the variables say to play Jared Goff over Josh Allen. You just got to decide if you have the cojones to play Jared Goff over Josh Allen.
He's got 11 touchdowns in the last 3 games.
Yeah. He's banged up. The weather's bad. Goff's in a good weather game.
Well, if you're a heavy favorite in this, you play Goff. If you're the guy that needs 30 points, I think you go with Allen.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it.
I just want to look real quick. I still have Josh Allen ranked as my QB1. This is a divisional game. He's running for 2 touchdowns. He's doing some shit.
Yeah.
Goff I have as my QB7. I do like Goff here, but I think you got to stick with Allen. And then this one's a little bit more tougher. Love or Bo Nix? We got Bo Nix against the Cincinnati defense, which we've been targeting. And then you got Jordan Love in a huge game, basically for the number 5 seed in the NFC side of things, and a lot of pride on the line. Packers, Vikings tomorrow. No Christian Watson. Bo Nix.
This is easy for me. It's Bo Nix.
It's Bo Nix. Okay, I have them back to back in my ranking. So
I just think Bo Nix gives you a better floor with his legs, and I think it's a better environment for him today. I think this could end up being like maybe the highest scoring game on the entire slate. Yeah. You know, Cincinnati, they're gonna throw. I mean, even if they're eliminated, they're gonna chuck it. This could be a really high scoring game.
It's close. We're gonna go Bo Nix. Just it's a playoff atmosphere in both games, but I think today's game's got a little bit more juice to it. Niners missing their whole offensive line too, so I think that convinced us on the Cooper Kupp question. And we got the Chase Brown with us this morning. Waddle or Spears and flex, full PPR for receivers, half PPR for running back.
So many Spears questions today. Huh?
He's been the guy of the day. I don't know if Waddle's going to play. I think I'm just locking in Spears here.
Yeah, I'll take Spears.
Yeah. And my opponent has Tua and Hill. I mean, we're kind of pessimistic on the Dolphins' offense tomorrow. I don't know if there's not going to be a need for them to score, 24 points. They can win that game with 13 points tomorrow.
It's going to be a sloppy Cleveland football, game, and I think that benefits A-Chain.
Raheem Mostert scoring a touchdown tomorrow, by the way. Raheem Mostert getting 10 touches for 13 yards and 2 scores. It's on the books.
He's going to do some sniping.
It's on the books. Scott says Abdullah or Blackshear at my RB2 for the ship. Derrick Henry RB1. Man, Blackbeard here or Abdullah Blangata.
I think the Vegas has shown that they like Abdullah enough that it's tough though.
Abdullah's just been he's just
solid.
He is part of the offense now.
Yeah.
We don't know what Blackshear can do, but Abdullah, the last 2, he's got 19 points in back-to-back games, 5 catches, 7 catches. In games where he's been kind of locked in, like he's getting 7 to 10 points as his floor. He did get a rushing touchdown last weekend too, so he's getting receiving work, and there's potential for rushing upside in this one if he gets 7 to 10 carries and 3 to 4 catches. I mean, that's what we're hoping Blackshear gets.
Right.
I think you just take the sure thing.
You haven't seen it though. You've seen it back-to-back weeks now for Abdullah. Yeah.
I think you take the for sure thing here. And then Mr. Magic says I had Keenan and Sharp play, so that's why I'm deciding between Kupp and Garendo. We're going with
tough
Kupp.
Tough Thursday game.
Yeah, we're gonna hope the Kupp fills up. We've been going on here for a good 35 minutes. Jesse, did you have any final thoughts for the good people today? Anything that's on your mind? We got a big championship to win. What do we think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a tough week. There's a lot of injuries to navigate. There's a lot of weather to navigate. Trust your gut. You're in the championship. Don't hesitate. Have confidence. Go forth. Ride for Rohan. Go, baby.
Ride for Rohan. And we like Malik Neighbors this week. He's playing. He's got to get that 100. He's got to get that 1,000-yard bonus. He's getting his 12, 15 targets. He's looking like a strong wide receiver 2 play. And then I do like Blackshear as a receiving back. I just worry with Mike Boone. It's an uncertain situation where I don't really know what the Panthers are going to do. And it's kind of hard to run against Tampa Bay anyways. I think you can throw against Tampa Bay, but I'm going to take Abdullah and then Drake May dinged up. And then last question for the day, Dobbins, Thielen, or Neighbors at flex? It's Thielen or Neighbors for me. Jesse, you pick between the two.
Wow. So in my mind, as we were talking, and he said Blackshear's awesome. That, with Chuba out, it's made me just lean into it's divisional game. It's Carolina. It's Bryce Young. Let him sling it. Just let him go out there and throw it 40, 50 times. I really think that Thielen and even maybe Coker could be really interesting plays this week in your flex. Give me Adam Thielen. Give me the Panthers receivers this week.
I do think there's a chance Leggett plays. He hasn't been ruled out yet. They said he's expected to play, but hey, the head coach also said Chuba Hubbard is expected to play yesterday, so we saw how that goes. And yeah, I just want to say thank you. It's been a long year, guys. Week 17, I want to thank everybody that has been part of the show, asking questions. Love doing this for you guys. I do have one more final stream tomorrow morning. We'll go over all the player news at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. So if you guys want to hang out, any final questions for tomorrow, that's where we'll be. Otherwise, enjoy the games today. Good luck. I hope you guys get everything you need or you don't need, whatever. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Peace.
Got me feeling icy.